Hi guys, Big Monday here, and today we have another low MMR replay coaching. This is axl2468 from Reddit. In-game name is Filthy Techies Picker. He played Bane this game, although once we get into game, his name is going to change. Thank you, replays. So, I picked this game because for the best part of 15 minutes, by the stats, you had a reasonably good game. Maybe not farm-wise, but you know, you got a couple of kills and assists and you hadn't died a lot, which is usually a good thing. So I picked this game because I think it was a good way to show that sometimes even though you are doing what seems to be going well, you could have done a lot more, and there's a particular opportunity in this game where you could have shut the Pudge down, could have guaranteed a kill on the Pudge, and he was a big reason you lost this game. And you could have done a lot more in this game to shut the Slark down, and again, he was another big reason you lost this game. These guys both ran away from you, but jump in and we'll see how we go with that. So first off, you went with Nightmare as your first skill in this. Now, there's a lot of games that's good in, and there's a lot of good reasons to go for it, but in low MMR games I'd normally skip it, and we'll see exactly why just after a little fight with techies at the start. It's basically because a big part of what makes Nightmare useful as level 1 is it allows people to set up for other things. So it allows people to get in position to either body block or right click someone. It allows people to set up stacking better stuns.
Prepare for battle.
It allows you maybe the Marana arrow in this case, but in a game like this, all you are getting in most cases is the 4 seconds of damage. You can't even right click, it's not even a proper stun. And so you're going to do 80 damage for 165 mana, which, now, you should be able to combo with other heroes, even if it's just a matter of giving other people time to get in position. But in a low MMR game, that often doesn't happen.
Thanks.
And a lot of the time, your team ends up countering themselves with it. So a lot of the times, I think you're better off just to go Brain Sap first. Because Brain Sap is only 70 mana, it deals 70 damage and heals you. So it deals 90 damage and heals you for 90. So for trading, this is going to be much, much better.
30 seconds to battle.
When it does come to harassing people in lane, people really underestimate heroes like Omni Knight and Bane that have the ability to deal damage to the enemy and heal themselves. Because a lot of people, particularly in lower MMRs, will do this sort of fight to the death thing, and just because you're getting low, they think they're going to be able to kill you, and they won't take into account your abilities. So if you've got this ability to heal yourself and do the last bit of burst damage, you know you're safe because you've got a decent amount of heal coming. And you know when they get low, you can kill them. So even when you're level 1, say, you get the Slark down to, say, about 200 health trading with him. Even if you're down on about 200 health, you're fine because you know you're going to have a good heal. You're getting down to about 200 health, cast Brain Sap. 2 more right clicks and he's dead. If he tries to run, you can still kill him because you're ranged. He's not. But that extra bit of heal keeps you alive. So Brain Sap's good for harassing in that way. You can just trade with people. If you do want to harass and trade, I'll just come back to this because something's about to happen. What you need to do is hear mines. At the moment, you've got the courier coming. And you hear that mine sound? There's a techies nearby. Sadly, he's caught your courier. It wasn't a big window to notice where he's coming from, but this here is exactly why you don't bother with Brain Sap. Because all you've done now is stun your Faceless Void and cost him 60 health. This is why you don't get this is why you don't get Nightmare in low tier games, because you end up with people doing that. And just maybe he wanted a purple hat. It goes with his everything. But let's just watch the tech. I'll just let you fight. I mean, come on, man. You're a filthy techies picker. You know how to counter these mines. Get right clicking those mines. So back to what I was saying. So when you're harassing someone in lane, you want to harass. You make sure you've taken at least 90 damage first. Assuming you're level 1. When you're level 2, you make sure you've taken 160 damage just to get maximum efficiency out of this. You come in, you cast Brain Sap. That's when you want to harass. When you want to go for the kill, consider what nukes they've got. So maybe be a bit scared of mines, be a bit scared of anyone like a Lina with any burst damage. Clocks, burst damage is telegraph, so you're okay. But then you go in and you trade with someone. You trade with someone until they're nearly dead. Don't wait till Brain Sap will get the kill. Wait till they'll be like 1 or 2 hits away, because when you do Brain Sap, even if they want to turn and run, unless you've got a hero with like a blink or has got a really good way of getting out of range, you've got time to get that extra right click. Now, so what I would normally go in a low tier game is I go level 1 Brain Sap and level 3 Brain Sap. Level 2, I would go either Enfeeble or Nightmare, depending on, do you want to shut down the guy you're in lane with more, or do you think there's a potential to set up with someone? So if you're staying in lane for the most part, then you want to take Enfeeble. One of your problems this game is that eventually the Slark sort of ran away with this game. If you Enfeeble him now, it puts him even further behind. Makes his life much harder. And if you Enfeeble this guy, you take I mean, level 1's 30 damage. At the moment he's got 76. You're gonna have a much harder time. Okay, let's just wait for the. Got quite a lot. Just wait for the stacks to run out. Got 70. Got 67 damage. We take away 30 damage. You're gonna have 38 damage. There's no way this guy, right? There's no way this guy last hits consistently with only 38 damage. So the level 1 in Enfeeble this game would have really nerfed the Slark for this game, and I think it would have been worth considering. Yeah, if you've got someone you know you can reliably set up with Nightmare, or people you can follow up with, then Nightmare's great. But when you're in games like this, it's one of those games where following the conventional wisdom doesn't apply, because you're not playing with conventional players. These players will not play how the guides for Bane say you should play Bane. People won't react to it properly. People are too slow when you Nightmare people, or they'll take the Nightmare on themselves and stuff like that. So generally speaking, you better just skip this until level 4. Now, there's a couple of opportunities in this game where the lane's pushing. You can see the lane's pushing now. At this point, I'd be prepping for a side pull. Drop the speed and free camp. Now, if you don't know how to side pull, it's this camp at 53 seconds, and then you run up here. And what that'll pull the creeps here. Now, your creeps are running miles ahead. Nice to see that you're trying to deny, but you guys are really going to push. If you can do a side pull, one, it's going to get you a lot of extra XP and gold, because you're going to be able to clear this couple of creeps from this hard camp. And it's going to pull the lane back round to up here, where you're going to have an opportunity to get in behind and kill the Slark again. And one of the problems you had this game, personally, is you really struggled with your own net worth. I mean, you're a support, so you're going to be low on the net worth anyway. But you really struggled. And just by taking a minute to take a couple of creeps out of this camp, or to pull this camp, this one is pull at 12 to 13 seconds, and you pull it up this way. The only thing with this camp is you've got to either stack it first, or you have to connect it to this camp, and that's hard. It needs a bit of practice. If you're not sure how to do connecting pulls, or if you don't know how to stack, search for it. I've done it in a different video. Loads of other people have done it. Search for it. Go into a bot match and just spend 10 minutes practicing it. Once you've got it down, it's something that will make a big difference to your games. But whenever the creeps are sort of pushing up past these trees, you've got to go back and pull. And it's either you pull this one, or you pull this one. But you've got to go back and do that. So it was quite reasonable here that you did wander mid to kill the Pudge. Now this is why I would have considered taking Nightmare at level 2, so you can do things like this. You just didn't go great. And again, this is one of the guys that ran away with you this game. We'll watch how this plays out, and then we'll go back and break it down. Oh, unfortunately, the Pudge gets away. So let's back that up. Firstly, first thing is you're running directly towards the Pudge. You don't want to run that way. What you want to do is you want to run to block him off. So start running down here, because as soon as he runs away, you're going to be in range of him anyway. But by running down here, it gets you in position to right-click him a couple more times as he runs away, and that's going to give you a chance to probably maybe 2, maybe 3 more right-clicks. The other thing you want to consider as you go up is that Nightmare makes an enemy. It makes a unit invulnerable for a second. If you hold Alt, you can see the extra information. The first second in Nightmare, a unit is invulnerable. And if they take damage, they're going to wake up anyway. So one thing you have to be careful of is when you come to gank, is another player going to use their nukes? Now this is another thing that as a Bane player, generally you want Nightmare early, so you can set things up like this. But in a low tier game, people aren't going to react to it properly, like the Marana didn't in this case. So what you need to consider is if the person you are ganking for has a nuke that's on a low cooldown, he's probably going to spam that as soon as he sees you coming in for the gank. What you want to do, instead of using Nightmare first, you walk in through this path, you brain sap first, you wait for this guy to use his nuke, and if he's holding his nuke and it looks like he's not going to use it, by all means Nightmare. But you come in, you brain sap first, and then you Nightmare him after this guy's nuked, and then you carry on walking to get in position to block his retreat, and then you finish the kill afterwards. But I mean, this guy this guy screwed up big time anyway, because if we watch this in slow-mo, you'll see what I mean about holding the nuke. Because this guy jumps in and immediately goes to use his nuke, and you Nightmare this guy, and he's got 1 second of invulnerability. So let's take a look at Pudge's health. The Starstorm does nothing, so that's an extra 150 damage that could have been done to this guy. Now, bear in mind, if you'd walked down here instead of straight towards the Pudge, you'd have been standing here now, and it would have allowed you to get at least. It would have allowed you to get at least 1 more right click. I'd say more like 2 or 3, but at least 1. And you should also not be going for that right click. You should be getting in position down here to kill the Pudge. While he's sleeping, you need to be blocking his retreat down here. And it looks like you're going to rely on the arrow, and yes, if the arrow would have hit, this would have been a kill, because it would have been another 140-ish damage. But still, we've already wasted 150. We've already wasted at least 67 of your right click. Now we'll see how much this guy walks out on. He's now on 300 health. So if you hadn't walked up there while he was Nightmared, you'd be standing here now. That's 2, 3, maybe even 4 if you hadn't walked away. So this guy gets away on 200 health. Now, you needed to get one. You needed to not. If you hadn't blocked the Starstorm, and if you'd right-click this guy once, he'd be dead. Depending on resistance, it might take 1 more, but still, you'd have definitely got 2 more right-clicks if you'd have been walking to get in position. That's what you need to consider when you're Nightmare. 1, are your teammates do they have spammable spells? If they've got short cooldown spells, it might be a good idea for them to get out early. Let them get it out early. Once they see you coming in, let them nuke and then Nightmare. And then, once he's Nightmared, keep walking to block off his retreat. So sadly, this guy gets away, but we could have picked that up. Even if that guy hadn't missed the arrow, if you'd have used your skills slightly more efficiently, then would have been all good. This I don't agree with, the 5-second nightmare, and the range increase is tiny. I think at this point you really do need to be, but by level 4 you need to be 1-2-1. Particularly because of the low, you being in the low skill bracket.
Radiant's middle
people aren't going to
tower is
react.
under attack.
You're putting you've got 2 skill points in a skill that your team are going to screw up now. You've got 1 second of extra disable and 20 extra damage. That's not worth it. When at this point you could be stopping the slot right clicking for 30 seconds. I mean, what you could do at this point, you could stop Slark right clicking, walk mid, stop Pudge right clicking, walk back, stop. You could have 2 people not right clicking constantly.
Where did Radiant's middle tower go?
Like that you're putting in the odd ping on the odd little poke. One of the good things about Bane is he's got quite good base damage, so you can just continually right click people. I love the banter with the techies here. You're a filthy techies picker. So, going energy boost to this game, I think that's a mistake. Now, I think you are much better off with Bane going for a soul ring.
Dire's bottom tower needs some help.
And you offset. You get the extra. You can then basically once you get the soul ring, you've got enough mana to continuously spam brain sap, just as much as you like. There'll be no more clarity buying. Now, I would get an arcane boots eventually, but I would just leave it until after you've got soul ring, maybe a magic wand, and I might finish a glimmer cape then next. When I would buy the arcane boots is when I'm ready to think about getting an aether lens. And the only reason I would buy the arcane boots is you get the arcane boots, and then you can disassemble them later to make the aether lens. But I wouldn't keep arcane boots. The only games I would keep arcane boots if you're with if there's nobody else on your team who's likely to get mana boots, and your team really benefits from the extra mana. But in your case, personally, you're better off to just get soul ring and even leave your boots of speed as brown boots until you need the space. And once you need the space, upgrade them to tranquils. But I just leave them as brown. Upgrade them to tranquils when you need it, or buy the once you're ready to build Aether Lens, then you buy the energy booster and you disassemble your boots later. If you don't know how to disassemble, just right click your boots. The menu that pops up, one of the options is disassemble. The items that it disassembles into will be locked, so you have to right click the item and then unlock combining, and then you'll be able to build the Aether Lens. Aether Lens is a pretty good one. But you do have a problem this game with farm. I think occasionally you.
An eternity of embarrassment.
That's unfortunate. These opportunities, like a little earlier when the lane was pushed up, when you could have gone and pulled, those would make a really big difference to your early game. Because you haven't died yet, and you don't die till about 15 minutes in, so you don't have a problem with losing gold through dying. You just spend a lot of time. You spend a lot of time just hanging out in lane.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Oh man, that guy's so stupid. He's so easy to kill. Yeah, if you'd have traded with that guy then, instead of using brain sap, you could have got him down to about 200 and... Could have got him down a lot lower before he chickened out. If you'd have not brain sapped immediately, you just right click him a couple of times.
As was promised.
See, and I get the impression you thought this game, my teammates are trash. And it's your teammates' fault you lost this game. I would think that too, because this guy, I mean this, look at it.
As was promised.
That's just wrong. That's just wrong.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, you really need to keep an eye on for when the lane's pushed up and opportunities to pull. Really go practice pulling. It will make a big difference to your early game gold. And there's been 2 or 3 opportunities for you to go and use and pull the creeps to be able to clear a creep camp. I'm not going to rewatch it and count each one, but
Shadows.
2 or 3 opportunities, and you'd have quite a significant amount more gold. And see, this at the moment, you have enough to buy a soul ring right now. You buy a soul ring, you can cast Brain Sap for free. That's free damage. Why would you not want that? But it gives you good health regen, it gives you good mana regen, so it lets you stay in lane longer. You're not going to have to go and heal as much. But it also gives you the ability to continuously spam Brain Sap. Okay, so I think we're going to call it there because this game just... This game is now going to go into this sort of downward spiral of Pudge and Slark just continually getting pick-offs until everyone on your team is tilted and everyone on the enemy team is insanely farmed. I think what I'd just like to do is just mention a little bit about items. I think you had sentries in your inventory pretty much at the same time the Slark had the Silver Edge delivered. That's really, really good. It's very rare I see that sort of forethought from a 1.4k player. That's very impressive. Make sure you keep doing that. Yeah, so if we forward the clock, literally you were buying sentries at the same time Slark was finishing his Shadow Blade. That was really good. Let's just take a quick look at the item board, because this is what I mean. You're poor. If you'd have spent, you needed to spend just a couple of times to just pull and take a creep camp. Just early on, it would have meant by this point, before you started really dying, you'd have had Brown Boots, Soul Ring, and most of the way to the Glimmer Cape. That would have made a big difference. You could have bought maybe half a dozen more wards. Could have bought the Tranquils to help keep you regen in between. You could have been halfway towards a Force Staff, which would have really kept you alive against. It helps keep you alive when. If Pudge hooks someone, you can hook them out of rot range. If the Monkey King goes on someone, you can Force Staff them away from the Echo Saber slow, because he bought an Echo Saber eventually, and you can Force Staff someone out of range long enough for the slow to wear off. If Slark goes on someone, you can wait for the leash to expire and then give him a bit of distance to help keep people alive that way. But I think that was your big problem, is that you didn't really progress item wise. I mean, look at this. Once you've got, let's say, if you just, instead of buying an arcane booster, you bought a soul ring. First off, you can spam continuously, which means you can just walk. Every time you walk past a jungle camp, you can cast it on a jungle creep and take a jungle creep. So that gives you way more gold. Let's say you pull just twice, once on the hard camp, once on the small camp. That's about an extra 500 gold. So if we skip ahead, 500 gold's about the cost of the cloak. So basically, if you'd done 2 pulls, you'd have accelerated your farm by 10 minutes, equivalent to what you had in this game. I mean, that's a big deal. To have your 22 minute items by like 12 minutes, that's a big deal. That would make a massive difference to this game. And all you'd have had to do is pull twice. But the Soul Ring would have allowed you to spam as well, so then you'd have had 2 or 3 big creeps maybe. You could just pick off the small creeps on your way past, and that's all you need to do. When you're walking past a jungle camp, kill one of the creeps. It takes, between your nukes and between your nukes and your right clicks, you can kill it in 10 seconds. Relatively quickly. You just take 1 or 2 creeps on the way past, and that really accelerates your gold. So then we find, if you're using the Soul Ring and Brain Sap to just spam creeps, instead of having 14 minutes to have your cloak as well, then you've got maybe another 1,000 gold, which you never really got in this game. Okay, but you got the Glimmer Cape eventually. So you do 2 pulls, you get Soul Ring. Every time you walk past a creep camp, you take a creep camp. You maybe by sort of 17, 18 minutes, you've got that Glimmer Cape then. That's realistic for how this game was going. Just by 2 pulls and you get the soul ring, and you kill a creep camp every now and then when you walk past. And that takes you from your 44-minute items to having them around 17 minutes. It's a massive difference to a game. So, relatively short one for a change. Hope you found this useful. If you have, please leave me a like. Really appreciate it, or a subscribe. There's going to be a link in the description to the discussion on Reddit. Please come join that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other Bane players that will add a shitload more, but I'm just trying to keep these short. So thanks for watching. See you soon. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye.